G'day, g'day, g'day! How's everybody going? Welcome to Streamaholics episode 2. How you going, Shippy?
Good. How are you doing there, friend? It's good to see you. It's real good.
Pretty good. looking forward to kicking off this episode and getting stuck into some of the stuff that we've got planned. There's been really good response in the Discord, so looking forward to get stuck into it.
Oh, yeah, we've got a lot of stuff to get through today. Looking forward to it heaps.
So how's everybody going? Thanks for joining us here tonight. Good to see you all in chat there. Hope you're ready for some rants on some streaming and content creation.
Oh yeah, I can feel them already. I can feel them welling up inside. The rants, they begin. Yeah,
just got to turn that tap on and release them.
Yep, absolutely.
So we've decided this week we've just shafted all of the industry news to the side because of the response we got. We're going to tackle a topic that we just wanted to dive into for some fun. You might have seen it in the title to the stream. We're going to tackle will Twitch survive or will Twitch die? What's the future of Twitch mean? So we're going to tackle that one first, and then we're going to dive into the Discord questions, and if we get time we'll probably try and answer some stuff from the chat as well.
Do you feel super clickbaity about that? For me, that title, that, you know, is Twitch going to die? Yeah, definitely. You know, it's we got to be, if we had a thumbnail, we'd both have to be like, yeah, on the picture.
Yeah, that's the YouTube. Yeah. Yeah, super clickbaity. It's not. We're just going to dive into it. I've just seen some people, not a lot of them, but I've just seen a little bit of chatter this week about people are tackling that question themselves, and I just thought, oh, what's my take on it? I don't know. I've got a podcast. Let's chuck it on there.
We can actually share our take. Excellent.
Yeah, that's right. So we'll start with that one. Everyone, hang on to your hats. Don't go selling your shares in Amazon and Twitch yet. Just wait for the next half an hour or 20 minutes or so. Shippy, what's your take? What's your initial take on like the future of Twitch?
I mean, like we said last week, I was really having I thought about this before we started. Is that with the way that Twitch is that it's more so, to me, I think that it's going to get bigger, because the reality is that if you look at all other forms of media, like I said, I kind of sit there if I'm watching the television and I'm waiting for a chat to appear. You know, I want to have discussions with people whilst I'm watching shows, and I never thought that that's something that I would do. When I first started kind of getting around online and content creation and things like that, I looked at Twitch and I'm like, what is this? Like, what is this absolute? And it made no sense to me to begin with, you know what I mean? Like, because I'm like, what do I want to sit here and you're telling me when I can watch a show? You're telling me to be at a place at a certain. Does this work? You know, having to have a schedule that I have to keep for them. That was something that completely was like so far out of left field. So that when I actually went and experienced it for myself, I'm like, no, this is actually the better way to do things, because you can talk to people, interact with the person who's providing you the content, and yeah, it's more like a scheduled TV show, you know, like your 6 o'clock on a weeknights. That's when The Simpsons is on back in the day, you know. I gotta be there for that. So I think that the future of the media itself is it's probably heading into more so. It is the future of online content, I think, even to the point now where I tend to watch less YouTube than I used to, because it doesn't have the same level of interaction. It used to be the thing that I would watch constantly was YouTube. But yeah, I crave hanging out with my friends now, you know. So when I'm not watching things with them, I'm kind of like, well, can I get into a message with them on Discord, or what can I do? So it's really starting to change my perspective, you know, on how content works. I think it's in a really good place right now, personally. I'm not sure about yourself there, but I think that, like, you know, aside from obviously the music stuff is always going to be a problem until they fix it. I think aside from the music stuff, I think we're in a really good place.
Yeah, so yeah, I think you're right there. The way that we do consume this content is really weird. I was pretty much the same as you. I didn't watch a lot of Twitch before I started doing it. I just heard about it and like, oh, I'll just give that a shot. That sounds pretty cool. I was going to make some YouTubes before that, and then pivoted and started doing the live content. Probably because I decided that I don't know how to edit videos, and it's probably going to take a very long time, and I just want to create content. So that's why I went with the live streaming aspect and fell in love with it there. But yeah, it's so my sort of take on it. It's kind of like a long. I've been delving into some. I thought I'll just post the question first, and then I started diving into some opinions. And my kind of take on it kind of started delving in. I started like reading up like how much profit Amazon makes and trying to work out how much profit Twitch actually makes itself. And so I started diving into these really, really nerdy figures. So I mean, for me, I think I think some of the changes that they made in 2021 are on the right path. But being someone who was on Mixer when they decided that, you know what, this isn't making enough money, like, we're out. We want to be Twitch, and Twitch is still trying to figure themselves out. So yeah, that's not going to work for us. So we're out. So the only sort of take I've got on it. Let me give you some nerdy figures first. So Amazon. So we're looking at 20. And so, just as a disclaimer, some of these figures are very, very hard to come by, and they're very, very hard to decipher. And so you could try and sort of mold them into whatever you want, really, to make it work for you. But when I look at Twitch in particular and Amazon, so Amazon for 2020 apparently made almost $400 billion in profit for the year. Mostly through the delivery service, the AWS cloud internet thing that they've got going on at the moment, which is going bonkers, and Amazon Prime. Twitch, I couldn't find the actual figures on Twitch because they don't release them with the Amazon financials, but Twitch apparently makes roughly about $2 billion for the year 2020, or that was the projected for it. So when I started looking at that number, I'm like, okay, yeah, so Twitch is making the changes. They're talking about the ad revenue that they want to bring in, but I'm like, what's Amazon's plans with Twitch though? If it's that small of a smaller part of the pie, and so the only figures I could figure out with ad revenue, trying to get back to Twitch on itself away from Amazon, was that in 2019, Twitch had projected that it was going to make $500 or $600 million from ad revenue. It ended up making half of that, and so it was under what it wanted to make. In 2020, I'm assuming, because I couldn't find the figures anywhere, even though we're well into 2021. So I don't, and with the COVID situation and the jump in viewership that Twitch had, like it had a 30% increase like overnight in April last year. So I'm assuming that its ad revenue went up, but probably not even to the $500 or $600 million that it projected for the year before. I think that they're making, and apparently their target is that they want to make $1 billion a year in ad revenue.
Yeah, okay.
So it's not like they want to make like YouTube money, but that's kind of what their target is. I think they'll get there. I think some of the changes that they've made in 2021 with trying to bring in other medias from outside of the gaming scene, and trying to broaden what Twitch actually is in terms of a live. Like I think Twitch is aiming to be a live streaming YouTube instead of or a live streaming Netflix instead of and have like people that you can actually connect with. And so we talked about it last week with the sports shows, and and I think I could see a directory full of cooking shows at some point, like I could see Twitch heading down a whole lot of different medias to try and bring viewership in. I think Twitch has a really, really hard time trying to master, like they're not going to be a Google or a Facebook in terms of being able to offer like this magnificent ad platform to companies. They're improving it, but then I don't think they don't have the resources to get to there, just because they don't have a Google behind them or a Facebook. It's not a search algorithm, and also live streaming games and whatever, it's very, very hard to try and pick what a particular viewer's interests are just by watching certain streams. So I think they'll get to their $1 billion revenue. My only take on it is really, at the end of the day, after getting all these really nerdy figures out, is how much interest does Amazon have in Twitch in 2 or 3 years' time? If it doesn't get to the billion, or doesn't quite get to the $1 billion a year, or maybe it just gets there and then they're just like, oh, but we could sell this for $5 billion or whatever it might be. I think Twitch will still be there. Whether or not Amazon owns it or not, I think might be the thing.
Well, yeah, I think that obviously you look at Amazon, but the thing with Amazon is it's the juggernaut. It's everything, like aside from the mouse, it's pretty much everything. And the deal with Amazon is that, yeah, sure, it might make $2 billion, right? But that's not like $20 on the side of the road, that's still a substantial amount of money. You know, like that's still a lot of money. And if it's straight up like profit at the end of the day, like that's got to be something that they keep in mind there, because although it's barely touching the surface when you kind of look at the overall scale, I think that they'd be foolish to throw it away, because what the thing is that if you give a $2 billion a year company away to anyone else, you're creating a situation where somebody else has the potential to make that money, and then even more of it. And we're seeing at the moment, especially in like, you know, entertainment side of business, there's a whole lot of consolidation. You know, we've seen it with the mouse taking over like Marvel, with so many different so many of these different sources of entertainment are becoming one or two or three. So it seems it's almost like Pokemon. You know, you got to catch them all, and that's kind of like what's happening when it comes to the entertainment side of things. So yeah, I think it would be really silly for anyone to give up something like Twitch. That being said, definitely, if it did end up getting sold, wouldn't go away. I think that it's in a very different position that Mixer was in the sense that Mixer started as a way to try to be opposition, right? And it didn't work out the way that it wanted to. And then at the same time, acquisition again, because then that became a part of Facebook. That transitioned into Facebook Gaming, taking the options from, you know, 3 really major streaming platforms down to 2, you know, and then you've got obviously your smaller outliers as well, and then YouTube Gaming on top of that too. But I think that Mixer didn't really die, it just became something else. And you know, I don't think that if Twitch was sold, I don't think you'd all of a sudden see like gaming. You know, I don't think it would automatically become like its own additional thing as part of another social media network. It might, depending on who buys it, but I think that whoever, if it was sold, it would still just be Twitch, because it's too big of a name, I think, at this point. And I think there's too much around it. Like, so I don't think that there's, even if it wasn't a part of the Amazon umbrella, I don't think that we would see the end of Twitch. I think that it's too much now to really let go. But yeah, that's sort of just my perspective on it, because it is a mighty thing right now, and it is growing too. You know, COVID obviously very much so helped. There was we've got 10 years previous to this, maybe a little bit more, you know, of growth. And it hasn't stagnated, don't get me wrong. Lots of people have made lots of money on here. But I think you've definitely seen in the past couple of years, people really starting to take it seriously, people really starting to make it their job. And there's been like a tremendous upswing for a lot of people. And I think that will trend upwards from here, because yes, now the COVID-19 situation is not gone. So there are some places in the world they still think we'll always have masks. But I think that you'll find that even though it starts to alleviate, people will still be here pushing and trying to make this their job. I don't see it going backwards from this point. Outside of, you know, maybe a little of a dip here and there in viewership, I think that a 2 years worth of pandemic has given enough power to the thought of people sticking around now. Because 2 years watching anything, you know, it breeds loyalty. It breeds like a constant viewership. But yeah,
I think it'll be interesting to see. Like, I'm really interested to see, like, once things start going back to normal, you know, maybe it's late this year, maybe it's early next year. Like, what happens to the viewership? Does it hang in there, or what? That'd be interesting to see what happens. It's a growing platform. I assume it's either at least going to stay the same, or maybe it just won't show some growth during that period, hopefully. But yeah, I think I'm just a bit gun shy because of the Mixer thing. Like, just at any stage, someone could just close the doors on you. So you never know what's going to happen. The interesting thing, like, it'd be interesting if someone like you know, when I was looking at the figures for Twitch and projected that they earn their revenue is about $2 billion for 2020. I don't think that actually included costs. That was just their incomings. Obviously, I think they still make a fair bit of that money. Like, I don't think it's like I don't think their operating costs are $1.8 billion. I think they're still keeping a fair chunk of that. But the interesting thing to me is, given that they only have about a 25% market share with YouTube gaming, is that YouTube was projected to make about 1.7 YouTube gaming, sorry, not YouTube. YouTube makes probably a gazillion dollars, but YouTube gaming itself was projected to make about $1.7 billion compared to Twitch's 2. So that was a really interesting stat to me. I guess I think that just all comes down to the ad platform that they're able to offer. They've got such a, like, it's not a small viewership, but still a big chunk of the pie, but in terms of the market share of the hours watched, but they're able to turn it into more revenue for people on the platform with their ad platform. That
comes to that purely comes to the fact that Facebook has this, every time you scroll, there's ads. On the side of the windows, there's always ads. They have a big facility to offer more ads. So there's always going to be more profit when it comes to that side of things. I mean, you've seen it, I'm sure you've seen it here, where you've had people who have come from Twitch, drawing 80, 100, 150 people, 200 people to every stream, going over to Facebook Gaming and getting 15 people in their chat. But it works differently there, because the way that their system works, I believe it is viewership retention versus numbers. So it's like, as long as they have people in there for over a minute or something, it counts as like good. So they don't need to have as many people constantly in there. I'm not quite sure how it works, but I know that the system itself is different to how Twitch works. It's not like having 100 people in there doesn't matter so much. But as a streamer, when you're in that situation, you obviously freak out, because as a streamer, you're like, I'm so used to having 100 plus people in my chat. Where is everybody? And that comes down to the type of streamers as well. Like someone like myself wouldn't survive, I don't think, so much on a Facebook Gaming, because I'm very, the funny things, the memes, and I can't do any of that stuff in a situation that is less about my content and more about the game I play. I think that Facebook Gaming is very much so a game that a community that's based on shooters and games that are of a competitive nature. It's great for esports, but I don't think it's so good for variety streaming personally.
It tends to sorry, did I say Facebook before too, by the way? Because I meant YouTube when I was talking about the $1.7 billion and that.
Okay, yeah. Then maybe I got my own wires quite crossed there.
But yeah, Facebook's different. As some people might know, that I spend a lot of time on Facebook and probably will stream there again in the future. But it is a completely different platform. Just now that you think about it, like I do a lot of memey stuff, but I was actually still playing like shooters and stuff when I was over there. The one good thing about Facebook, just as a side tangent, in terms of variety, I've had a couple of even myself, I all of a sudden started playing Destiny and just took off a little bit on Facebook, and before I made my wrong decision to move to Mixer and have false hope in my own self and false confidence that I could just take my 50 to 80 average concurrent viewership over to Mixer, and I'll be able to build it up to there in no time again. Like it'll be great. So learn from my mistakes. If you start no matter what platform you're on, if you start to really crack on, no matter what game it is, I was playing Destiny and getting burnt out on it, but 2 years later, I regret not keeping on playing Destiny on Facebook. It's just the way it is. Like if you're starting to find like a little bit of traction playing a game, like I had a mate. This is a side again. Sorry, a mate of mine pretty much did the similar thing. He played Call of Duty all the time. He's been on there for since when I was on there, so 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and he averages 5 to 10 people most of the time. He all of a sudden started playing WWE 2K and talking about wrestling, and all of a sudden for a couple of months straight, he was averaging 200 or 300 concurrent viewership all the time, just immediately, just because there's nobody on the platform playing the game, I guess. And you find little communities and people share them to groups, and there is potential if you hit the right algorithms and the right communities on Facebook to take off. But he got burnt out on wrestling, did what I did. He went back to his Call of Duty and now streams to 10 people again. So, he didn't learn from my lesson, but that's an aside.
I mean, I could rant all day about COD streaming on here. That's something that I could spend all my time doing. Absolutely. But I get it though, because at the end of the day, you always have the people who have the game they're passionate about, they're good at, they want to have fun with. I love Destiny too, although I absolutely goddamn hate Destiny now, and I hate what it's done to me in my heart, because I gave 4,000 hours to that game really easily, and I would do it again. But like as far as the ranting goes on that stuff, like I could very, very easily just talk all day about the pros and cons, because I constantly get people in my chat saying, hey man, can I have a shout out? That's the first thing they say, I find. And like, yeah, sure, I guess. Hello, my name's Warship. But secondary to that, we have conversations about, they're like, oh, how do you grow? How can I grow? And I look at the game and it's like, play Call of Duty Modern Warfare, or, play Battlefield, or whatever it is. And I'm like, okay, cool. So how often do you play that? Is that all you play? Do you interact with the chat? Are you what I call a low energy streamer? Do you engage? And they're like, oh, not really, but how do I grow? And I'm like, well, you can't do that, because I know a lot of the biggest names sit there all day. They don't even talk to the community. They don't even listen to what's happening at all. They sit there, they drink, and they eat, chips, and they play shooters, and they chew heavily into the microphone. But they've got an established community already. They've got, thousands and thousands of people. They've put the hard yards in. They've spoken to these people for ages. They've grown and they've built a community. You can't come in with none of that and do the same thing and get the same result. That's just not how the situation works. You really do have to put those yards in before you do that, if that's what your end goal is. It does constantly blow my mind, and I know we've gone on a tangent, and we tend to do this, I find, already in week 2, and maybe at some point we'll need to talk about extending the podcast an extra hour to get rid of the rants.
We might have to go 2 hours. Do you reckon, chat?
Because I can definitely talk and stuff about this kind of stuff all day. But back to the original sort of query of whether or not Twitch itself is going to die here. I think that we are really right now. I think last year was the fuse that really set this thing back on its track. We're really now. It's almost a golden age now. Again, we've had a golden age before. I wasn't here for it, but I've heard. I know that we're kind of experiencing a new golden age now when it comes to Twitch. Even with the pools category being added in, there's so much stuff that you would never have seen before. I really strongly feel like music is coming back to the platform. There's just something in my head that says that we're not far away from that, so people don't have to use the VOD workaround. I really do feel like music's on its way back. I really do feel like we're about to hit like a real upswing. And I've already started to see it, like my numbers have started to go up again. A lot of my friends' numbers have started to go up again. We had a real rough patch there for about 2 months earlier this year. I think because the world thought that COVID was going to be gone, and everyone's like, back to work. But now that they've gone back to work for a bit and they started to settling back into their lives, they're starting to come back to the streaming system. Like they're starting to come back to watch. I think that nobody even thought that was going to happen. Nobody thought, oh no, everyone's left. What do I do? It's all my fault. No one thought, well, they're probably just getting readjusted back to their life again before they can integrate Twitch back in. I think that we're definitely going to see Twitch's best years, I think, will be in the next few years. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think they're trending in the right direction. I agree with you there. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a very pivotal next 12 to 24 months, I think. We'll sort of probably have a bit of an idea in the next sort of 12 to 24, I think, as to whether their plan to expand out into other media has actually worked or not. And so, I think it's really a good time to be a part of Twitch, an exciting time. This is going to give us plenty to talk about on the podcast, which is good.
No, absolutely. Very, very much so. And I don't want to focus solely on like the news side of things that we do here. I think that having a lot of time to answer and go through questions that people might have in what we're doing here would be really great too with the podcast, because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that I wanted to ask, didn't have the facility for. When I first started, there's a lot of things I wanted to know that I maybe didn't have any information on. And I kind of feel like this is going to be a really good way to be able to do that as well as provide the news, like news that we've got. It's important to Twitch too, and if you're coming up, it's stuff that you should want to know too. So I think I'm really excited for what we can do as far as this goes as well, because I think that we're only just beginning here to really sort of sink our teeth into what we can actually provide and offer from the podcast side of things as well. So real keen.
Yeah, definitely. Good times. So I think we'll just we could talk for the next hour, like you said, on that one topic. So I think we'll just move on to the next part since we're half an hour into the podcast already. We're going to get to the first off. We'll get to the Discord questions. So I put the shout out like I normally do a couple of days ago or yesterday in the Discord with the Goa subscribers as part of their being a member of the Goa Legends Club. We'd like to give them first shout out on answering questions. For those of you in chat that don't know what the Goa Legends Club is, it's a subscription with Goa itself. It's more than what we say is it's more than just a sub badge, right? So we have the subscriptions on Twitch where you can get your sub badges and you get your emotes, and that's great. And a lot of our Legends Club actually subscribe on Twitch as well. So thanks, they're extra legends for doing so. But the Goa Legends Club, if you go to GameOnAus.com, you can find the link to Legends Club, and what that gives you is for $11 a month, $1 goes to charity. So we've got our charity fix in there too to make sure that we're helping out the places that we like to help out, the charities that we like to help out. We've got 2 on board this year. But the other $10 you know that's going directly to the creator, so directly to the Game On Aus community, so that we can do more things with that. But for your $10, you don't just hand over $10 and we're like, thank you very much for supporting us. You get extra shit. So if you're a Legends Club member, you get an extra little secret part of the Discord where we can ask you ahead of time questions for the podcasts. Not just this one, but the other podcasts. And yeah, there's just a lot of stuff going on in there that you might get first dibs on. You get discounts to the Goa founding partners. So if you're Pentanet, Lenovo, and the other founding partners, you get discounts too. You get exclusive deals just for our club, just for the Goa Legends Club. There's a few in chat right now. You get access to monthly I'll say that again. You get access to monthly content guides by some of the team. So we're diving into content creation stuff on the back end there too, just for the Legends Club. So yeah, you get extra stuff. There's mentorship programs. There's a whole lot of stuff on the back end. So it's more than just a Twitch sub badge. We're aiming to give back to the community with that one too by supporting us there. So, and as I said, there is some extra special legends there that still subscribe on Twitch too. But I think if you I should have I'm an amateur at this sort of stuff. I should have the commands here. I think it's Goa members. It's a long one. It needs to be shorter, probably. Does that work? Yeah, there you go. So there you can, if you want to look at all the things you can get for becoming a legend. There you go. So
we'll do
getting to it. Sorry, mate.
I could do a radio announcer spot for you here for it, so that we've got it in place.
Yeah, I think I need like a pre-recorded thing.
I'll do one for you here. Become an even bigger legend with the Goer membership program. Benefits include 20% off Goer merch, access to sessions by Goa ST, and monthly draws for indie games. Join now at www.gameonaus.com/become a legend.
There we go. I think we need to,
there we go.
We're going to have to clip that audio. We're going to use that. We're going to make all of the stream team are going to be able to use that from now on. That's going to be good. Thanks for that. You can tell who the professional here is. So we'll get to the questions. First off, we got one from Gamma. If you guys were running Twitch, what features would you add that could benefit new and long-time streamers? Have you had a thought about this one?
I have, yeah. I definitely have. I had a thought about it. So for me, honestly, Twitch is in a real good spot. Like, Twitch's features are really, really good. I said it last stream, or at least I thought about it last stream. I definitely think about it all the time. Twitch needs better support for people who are not at partner yet. I really feel like there is a gap between pre-affiliate and affiliate, so just hitting affiliate. There is a big stopgap there between affiliate and partner that needs to be addressed as far as support goes, because you don't have a voice when you have less than a few thousand people on social media. It's really hard to get that voice. I've got a few thousand people on the Twitch channel, which we've grown very quickly, but that doesn't translate to the same on Twitter. Like on Twitter, I think I'm just about to hit 1,000 now. I've got 16,000 on Facebook, but that's thanks to a page that was given to me. So that one we're still kind of working into me being able to use it to promote what we do. But as far as things go, like, you don't have a voice at this point. Twitch needs to stop with the popularity contest grassroots programs, like, you know, the hey, tag your friends, who's the creator you want to see us do things with on Twitch. You know, we need less of that, and we need more of, hey, just taking the people's names, looking at their content, and then discerning whether or not they deserve a chance to be in grassroots. It should be less about a popularity contest and less about, you know, who gets the most likes and retweets, and more about who is an actual deserving creator. Because I honestly, truly believe that that is the stopgap. I think that that's the thing that that point there is, we're just a dead space. We have nothing there, and the way to fix it is to do that. Like opening up, it doesn't have to be grassroots. It can have its different name completely, but it needs to be a way to showcase those people like myself. You know, people who are at the sort of level where what I'm doing with my viewership, where we do have a really, really passionate community. Like I'm talking like would go to actual war a lot of the time, to actually fight people, to actually, you know, get seriously involved in campaigns around charity and support each other with mental health stuff. Like this is like a community that cares. But because we, you know, because we've got 3,000 on Twitch and we should have 7,000 or 8,000 or 9,000, we don't get a look at. It's the same thing with branding and brand deals and sponsorships. Unless you reach some absolutely arbitrary number, you're not getting seen. There's no visibility. And recommended tab is beautiful for Twitch. Like it's really, really good. I myself benefit from the recommended tab a lot, but that being said, there has to be more they can do across other forms of social media. You know what I mean? There has to be more they can do to create that exposure. That is my one gripe with Twitch, aside from rev share. I honestly believe that rev share for Australians is horrible. You know, people pay $10 for a Twitch subscription. In Australia, we get somewhere in the vicinity of $2.80 on the other end of that. That's a horrible rev share. Like, and that's because of, you know, price and you know, the conversion from the different words. You know, like the different coin values. You know, there's reasons for it, but those reasons don't justify the fact that you can have, you know, 500 people subscribe to you and not get anywhere near the value back that you would or deserve to get. Because you're putting in the hard work and you really are doing all the right things, and then you look at it at the end of the day and would you really go to a job? Would you really go work a 9 to 5? Because that's what it is for a lot of us. Would you go to work a 9 for a 5 to make peanuts a lot of the time? And obviously every dollar counts, and we love everybody who subscribes. It's not their fault, it's the other end's fault, because it's the other end that is like strangleholding that amount of money that you get back. And unless you're a person who has, I've done the calculations, you need to make, I think for me to make it a viable source of income to the point like a normal 9 to 5 job, I would need to have 1,200 active subscribers every single month. That's a lot of people to subscribe to a channel that only gets, you know, 50 to 120 people per stream. That's a lot of extra subscribers to have. You know, that's it's kind of madness, where in reality, you know, you should be able to have around 500 subscribers and be able to reach that, you know, like that should be within the realm of possibility.
500 people investing in you as a content creator seems like just off, you know, if you just think about it, 500 people, that should be enough to try and give you like a decent wage.
Exactly right. And that's why people move to Patreon. That's why people move to like other forms, your OnlyFans and all that kind of stuff. It's because the rev share is just garbage. But those 2 points, they're the only gripes I have. I love the community. I love everything we do here. It was just that those would improve quality of life on a great scale, I think. Well, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's part of the reason why I just did that really shitty spiel about trying to tell you what we offer for the Legends Club. Like, it's part of the reason why we do that in the first place, is because the more money that we can bring in as a community and as an actual company, the more things that we can do to grow bigger and better and make this community even bigger and better than what it is now, and offer more stuff.
Absolutely.
But I agree with you on the social media thing. Like, it is pretty crazy when you go into some of the Twitch competitions or anything on social media, and they ask for the audience votes. So already the people that have a better following and more people behind them are going to win that, you know. So I do agree with you. Twitch needs some way of trying to find more creators out there, like yourself and other people that are doing good things. Where Twitch itself can look at creators, smaller creators, that are starting to make it and starting to get a bit of traction, and go, will this person, if they had a bigger audience, would they make us more money? And that's what they're going to think about.
Yeah.
And if somebody's providing quality content, then Twitch, how are you going to show more people that content? Not just because some Sheila who plays Call of Duty has got a big following and a big social media and a big Instagram, she's going to get all the votes.
Yeah.
Like, what's her content like? Is she going to provide you with more money? I mean, maybe they think that she is. I don't know, but.
Well, that's the thing. Like, exactly right. Like, you could ask any member of the Anchor Club, like my community here on Twitch and on Discord. You could ask literally any of them if they set a fire under my ass, and you will see growth. Like I know it. Anyone who comes into the streams, they see it. That word underrated, I hate it, but it gets thrown around all the time. And what I'm saying is that I'm not the only person like that. There are hundreds of thousands of people who have that potential, but you don't get visibility. You don't get seen, because I've got 1,000 people on Instagram as well. People who have 30,000 people on Instagram, they're the ones that get seen. They're the ones they care about, because they say, hey, retweet this thing, like this thing, share this thing, and all of a sudden, it happens. People do it, and then they think, okay, so you must have the only intrinsic value there. Now, the problem with that is, and I've had this discussion before as well, is I have partners galore on my feed who I support and watch, who have 60 to 70% less viewership on a daily basis. That's not me, big noting myself. That's saying there's a reason. Give me the power to show a wider audience the things I can do, and you'll see something. You don't do that, and that's what pisses me off about it. That's what's frustrating.
I think tying into that, and like Twitch, I don't know their resources. If they don't have the people to go out there and try and find creators or run more competitions where they actually do some looking into it themselves, to try and find the people that they think are going to bring better value to their platform and amplify them to everybody else. At least this is the one thing that I could think about, and it ties into something that Ray just said in the chat earlier about the about discoverability, and ties in also with the recommended thing that you're talking about. The only thing I could think about that I could is to change the Twitch homepage and the recommended the visibility of the recommended tab and the way that it actually runs. So I understand you go there and you have like your front page people on a wheel at the top there that you can see, but I feel like the next section, like not followed, like you've already followed people. If you're there to watch people you've already followed, that could be another rung down, like before you, because if you're going to go there to watch the people that you follow knowing that they're live, you're going to go straight there anyway. It doesn't matter, you'll find them, they're just down there. But I think if there was a better visibility and a larger panel, just for UI, for your recommended tab, and I go through my recommended tab a lot. It's like when you go through a YouTube loop where you watch a video and you're like, oh, that next one they've just suggested to me looks pretty good, because they're very good at knowing what you want to watch. If Twitch gets better at that, but also puts it on a better visibility, so it's right there. And the thing that I really hate about the Twitch the page itself, the thing I hate most about the Twitch homepage is that the recommended tab stops and ends, and I have to wait for like tomorrow or whenever it is for it to update with some new people, because I don't know where to go to find people just by browsing like things. Like I usually stick to my homepage, but people that I know, or I'll go through the recommended tab. And so I wish that was longer, but also more visible and towards the top.
Well, I think that on the left-hand side there, like even looking at the screen now that we're on right here, I really think that this followed channels section on the left needs to be cut in half. Then this needs to be a 2-section box. This needs to be split down the middle. The top half is for channels you already follow. The bottom half is for people that are recommended. And you take the recommended, the one that is from the homepage, and you put it there. Because I tell you what, I don't ever go to the freaking homepage ever. Or you know what I do when I log into Twitch? I go to my page. That's how I get to everywhere else. That's how I navigate. I go to my page first, and then I click on things around, like, my followed channels. I go support my friends. I don't ever just go to recommended. There needs to be a better way to see recommended, and there currently isn't. So,
I think
yeah,
just for like a
that's my
regular viewer,
gripes.
like a regular viewer, like we're streamers, so when I was streaming, I'm the same as you. I go to my page and click go live and do that sort of thing. But as a viewer, they're going to go to the homepage. So yeah, have the recommended stuff up higher or in more visible. Like I don't know, if you go to recommended video on your mobile phone, if you could just swipe like a, you know, like when you
as
go
much
to,
as you want.
Yeah. So if you, oh yeah, I like that person, like because you're going to get eyes on there, and as a creator, we're always taught to make sure that we're engaging all the time, so that when people do stop for that 3 seconds or 5 seconds or whatever it might be, that you catch them. So, you know, we'll still keep doing what we're doing.
I mean, that's why I try to have like the way that my setup is visually, like, you know, most of the time it sits like this. There's a lot of extra stuff there, you know, like I try to make it as visually appealing as I can as a thumbnail, because I know that people scrolling through recommended are going to see a high quality camera. They're going to see a nice background with good lighting. You have to do that stuff. You absolutely have to do that stuff. I don't think we should harp on this one, because again, another topic. I'm going to spend the whole stream talking about this.
Okay, I'll let you
but
choose.
yeah, that's my perspective.
Which one do you want to get to next?
Okay, so Raven Sky's question from the thing is actually really good as well. And that one is, what do you recommend to bring a spark to your stream to make you different? Now, that one can actually tie into another question here, and I'll go with that as well. So I'll combine the two. I'll combine this one with thoughts on variety streamers and always playing the latest game releases versus sticking to individual genres of games as well, because I think they both kind of sit together. What's your perspective?
With the what brings a spark makes you different. I think I've been preaching since I started streaming, and I kind of kick myself now because I've stopped streaming, and now that when I do stream, I think I've lost that spark. But back in the day when I used to do my character streaming and stuff like that, it was all an entertainment package. It was all about entertaining the viewers, and that's what it was always about. And we used to talk about content creation quite a lot. And my thing was always be unique. Find something that's unique about you, or something that you can provide that's different to everybody else. Whether it's whether you're staying in a single directory and you just want to differentiate yourself from the rest of the people in that directory, or the whole of Twitch, if you can come up with some sort of a unique idea. But only you as a creator can come up with that idea. Like, I can't tell you do this, like do that or whatever, because these are things that I'd have interested in, might not interest you, but everyone's got their own interests. Everyone's got the things that they can do creatively. You need to sit down and actually come up with an idea about what's going to make you stand out from the rest. Like, why would someone sit in your chat rather than the other million people that are all sitting there playing video games? What's going to make them stay? Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Like, for me, there are 2 points of note here. So when it comes to the niche and the different spark when it comes to streaming, my 2 biggest things are quality. So quality and content. So when it comes to quality, like, the most important thing as far as the quality thing is that when I first started streaming, I didn't have a great camera, but I had a camera. When I first started streaming, I didn't have a great microphone, but I had a microphone. I wanted to explode out of the gates and make sure that from day one, I provided content that wasn't just a game playing on the screen with a voiceover from a phone or something. I think standing out for me is different to a lot of people, but for me, it's about having the best looking visually stream that I can have, so I can play the best games. When it comes to this side of things, you know, like, this is a very good camera. I've spent a lot of time working on making sure that the background, it looks the part, and that the light bounces off the right things. I always make sure that when it comes to when we get people in there, I'll always be like, you know, we'll do a funny thing, like we'll roll the intro. I'll be like, you know, hey, let's roll the intro for the new guys, and then it won't be the thing that needs to actually play. It'll be something stupid, like, you know, Law and Order, or you know, there'll be like something dumb that happens on the screen instead of it being, you know, the thing that it's supposed to be. You know, I try my best to engage with the people on my stream at that first few seconds when they first get in, and grab them from there. So that's why we do things like roll the intro. It's a dumb meme, but you know, we roll the intro, and then the intro allows us to get into the next part of it, and you know, that's what grabs them. That's the hook there for them. And then when we come back from the intro, they're like, oh, he's a nice guy. He's got a good stream. You know, he's personable. He answers all my questions. He talks to me. He engages with my chat. The chat engagement is a huge thing. Like, getting around the chat, supporting the people who support you is like number one as far as like my credo, my whole mythos around what we do on the channel. And yeah, I really think that having good quality straight off the bat does help, because it separates you at the beginning. So there are so many different tiers to this, but you can cut out that lower tier right off the bat if you sit above it from day one. And then you work on the next tier, and then you work on the next tier, and you work on the next tier. As far as like the stuff to stream, like the games and things like that, the reason that I choose variety streaming over playing one consistent game is that streaming should be about one thing primarily, and that is the streamer. So the streamer itself, you're there to see the streamer. You're there to see the streamer, whether they're there to having a mental breakdown, whether they're playing video games, whether they're there, whatever the thing they're doing. Like for me, I've had a lot of stuff where we've spent 5-6 hours just chatting because I've had a bad day, and or 5 to 6 hours just chatting because one of my people in my stream has had a bad day. And we've had other days where we've played like new release games. We've had other games where we've played old games. We've had days where we play community games that are really, really hard to moderate, and I love my mod team for being able to actually get in there and make sure that nobody's throwing anything racist or bigoted into the chat. But at the end of the day, there's one consistent, and that consistent is me. Like the problem with playing a game like COD or even Destiny or even the WWE games, to use the examples from before, is that yes, you build a community, but the second you stop playing those games, they leave. You got to make your stream about you, not about anything else. You make it about you. You focus on your community, yourself, and that's all. The games should be a plus. They should be an additional, because honestly, at the end of the day, it's about you. They're there to see you. And I even put it to my chat. I'm like, hey guys, what do you want me to play? And 9 out of 10 times they'll say, look, man, I don't care. We're not here for the chat. We're here for you. And that's the spot you want to be in. You want to be in the spot where the chat is there for you and the games are just an extra thing. Like people like Pod, who's in the chat here now, he has unfortunately not been able to be consistently chatting in my stream for the past couple of weeks because we've been playing Little Nightmares too, and he wants to play it himself. So he's like, but I'll still lurk and I'll still be there, but I can't necessarily be in the chat, and that makes me feel bad, because I want to be able to have people in there hanging out. I want to provide a spot for everyone, but that's how far it goes, because yes, they might not even be able to be there. Might not even be able to be there the whole time, but they'll still be there. That's kind of what you want to do, at least from my perspective.
I think with your stuff, like you've built your community out so well that even just in the process of one stream, you do many different things. Like you'll do some just chatting stuff, you'll have the games going on the side, you'll be playing the game, but then other than that, you've got a good conversion rate in that community, so supportive of each other that your community exists away from your stream all the time, which is a really, really good spot to be in, and you've done really well with that side of things, I think. So now it doesn't matter like what game you're playing. Now it doesn't matter whether you're even live or not. You're still interacting and being a part of those people's lives on like 24/7, and that's the spot that everyone wants to be in.
I didn't get any magic spoon here. I wasn't handed like some like beans or anything like that. Like I everything I've done has been because of exactly the stuff that I'm offering here. Making sure that the community has a focus on yourself and them, rather than the game. Playing variety streaming has always been the way for me, because the variety streaming side of things allows for multiple games. People go, oh man, I haven't seen this game in years, or oh man, I'm so looking forward to this particular game. I will refuse to be a one-person game, but at the same time, a lot of people find great success with it. I think that what my point that I'm trying to make is that I didn't come from anything. When I was a wrestler, I had a pretty big fan base, but I reckon I got less than 100 people come across from wrestling. So and they haven't even been consistently here. Maybe I would be surprised if more than 5 people from wrestling would be there. And on a daily basis, maybe, if I'm lucky. The simple fact is that I've grown it just from the ground up, and anyone else can do that. There's nothing that nothing that I've done that you can't do. There's nothing that I've done that the chat can't do at all. But I think that people get to a point where they see my streams and they're like, well, you know, what has happened? He must have done something. You know, he must have had a lot to begin with, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, no, everything that I'm offering here is stuff that anyone can do.
Like
absolutely.
When I see your stream, I absolutely like. You know, there's some people that you come across and you're like, I don't know why they don't have a bigger following, and maybe they'll get there one day. But I've looked at your when I came across your streams and your community, I'm like, I understand why you have the community you got now, and I think you're going to keep going up from there because I can see why. What I'm interested in though, just to dig in a little bit here, when you did first start, I think you talked about it last week, how you did start with like no one there for the first few streams, but did you stick to a particular game when you first started 9 months ago or whatever it was, or were you still bouncing around games then?
I would say for the first 10 streams, we played pretty much nothing but Minecraft because I was trying. See, I had a plan, right? Yes, I just wanted to play games and have fun, but I also had a pretty savvy mind when it came to what my goals were. So my goals were to create an investment in character. So when I first started streaming Minecraft, you know, I put a focus on finding pets, put a focus on building things. I put a focus on creating memes that the channel could relate to, characters that the channel could relate to, you know, things like the dogs that we had and all that kind of stuff when we first started streaming, and those bought an investment back where people are like, I don't want the dog to die, you know, I don't want whatever the thing may be, is that I'm going to be here every time. So for the first sort of, you know, that 10 streams, whatever it was, I specifically set out to create a world that people wouldn't want to see disappear, and that people would want to be invested in and get around. Oh, looks like we have just been follow-botted. Interesting. That's quite a few followers. Sorry guys if you're going to write in the chat there, but yeah, that's how I started with it, and I think that that's a pretty smart way to do it because it creates investment, and at the end of the day, investment's super important. You know, like when we played Minecraft Hardcore, we ended up having a character, a bee called Bert, and Bert is beloved by the community now because we were like, we're going to do everything to keep him safe, to the point where there's been fan art made of Bert, to the point where there's been like t-shirt designs been made, and that's all based on a Minecraft bee. But I think it's really, really important to kind of, you know, create that thing. But I would say from that point onwards, from the 10 games onwards, or 10 streams onwards, we really straight away started to move into different stuff. You might want to mute the alerts tab there, I would think, if you can. Yeah.
Just had a few come up.
But yeah, I would, that's, I would say after 10 games, we really started to play new stuff as well.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's cool. That's a great insight for people that are just starting out or trying to build if they've been plodding around for a bit. Because that was kind of what I was going to say, was that you can, in terms of the grander scheme of things, like you want to play a variety of games, you can still use, like you said, Minecraft, about 10 streams. You can still use certain directories for short amounts of time to try and grab, especially if they're smaller directories too, on like games that have a good community outside of Twitch, but they've got a medium size or small viewership, but so you can jump in there easily with 5 or 10 viewers and be kind of near the top, so that you found it more easily in games like Minecraft that are so easy still to stick to your theme of like making sure that you're interacting with chat. And so you can do that, choose a Minecraft, but then you're trying to draw people in through the Minecraft and the directory you're sitting in to begin with, but then once they're there, then you showed them like that plan that we're talking about before about being unique, that once they arrive, then they realize that, oh, this is actually, I'm here for the community, like this community is awesome, or this guy's really entertaining, or both, like
absolutely.
And so now you've grabbed them, they've become a party community without them even knowing it, because you're not just someone who sits in the corner of a screen playing a video game. And then you can use that, you can move on to other directories and put in like a couple of weeks or a little bit here and there. You know, it could be a month in a game and then a month in another game. But if you are good enough at grabbing them and showing them the value that you can provide as either an entertainer or the value that your community can provide, and converting them to somewhere else outside of your stream, like your Discord, is really good too if you can do that. It's hard to do sometimes, but so yeah, I think variety, even if it's variety on your mind, but you're still sticking within directories, once you've got a following, I think like once you've got 50 people watching you all the time, now you can kind of bounce around different directories even higher up on a daily basis and take the 50 with you, and now you're at the top or sort of close to the top in a lot of directories. So now you can do more variety. But I think early on, I think even if you're not just going to like, I'm a Minecraft streamer all the time, if you want to do that, absolutely fantastic if that's the game you love. Even if you are providing those other things we're talking about. But if you do have plans of playing variety, I think sometimes sticking to a directory for a short amount of time and then moving to another directory a short amount of time, once you've got your 50 viewers or more, if you can get to that point, absolutely, you can bounce around whenever you want there and take your viewers with you. You got to make sure you hook them on the community or yourself while they're there.
Yep, no, absolutely. Like, and again, like I would definitely suggest that finding a game that you can always go back to is probably really smart too, and a game that you can play on a semi-regular basis. You know, like we will be doing Minecraft now that Caves and Cliffs has come out. We'll probably be doing Minecraft, I would say, at least once a week, just because that'll be a fun community thing that we can get in and do. Let's go check out the house. Let's go look at the animals. You know, all that kind of stuff. But it'll be a good way to kind of bring that investment. I try to do like one community night a week as well, where we're playing like Jackbox or even just racing or chatting or marbles or whatever it is. Games that hold no substance, essentially. But they're more about conversation than anything else anyway. Yeah, exactly right. Just a way to hang out. And sometimes we'll do Discord streams as well. You know, so because we've got a decent amount in there, and that's a way that people can talk back. You know, that's a way that we can get people who are a consistent member of the community to come in and have a voice and talk about the stuff they like and the stuff they want to see, and you know, all that as well. So I think that's really important as well. I've done less of them since we started doing the podcast, only because it's a lot of time that I usually take off. I used to take from Friday to Sunday off completely. But yeah, it's definitely a really good resource as well. But at the end of the day, I think finding like a game that is a niche to begin with is really, really good. My advice when it comes to finding a game to play has always been find a game and a category that you sit roughly within the first 6 of, as far as your average numbers. So if you're averaging 30 people, look for a game that has 150, 200 people as the number one spot, and then every other spot's, you know, 35, 40, 60, 50, whatever it is, so that you can sit either on that top line or the second line in. You want to be able to sit in those two, because if it's a game that has a cult following, or even if it's a game where people like to bounce around and look at other content creators, you're going to be right there at the top of the list. You don't want to go, as a new streamer, you don't want to go into a game like, you know, like Red Dead or League or GTA or COD, when there are like, you know, thousands upon thousands of active people doing it, all playing the same game. In those categories, the people who float, they float from one successful streamer to the other. They don't float from, you know, one successful streamer to Joe Blow. They just don't do that. So you'll never get like walk-ins if you're doing that kind of stuff. You'll get your walk-ins when you're playing a game that has a cult following that people just adore when other people play. You know, Subnautica was a great one for me. I had people come in and they're like, "Oh man, is this your first time playing? Oh, have you got this yet? Have you got the sea moth yet?" Like, you know, like, and it became this like thing where it was like, "No, I don't know what I'm doing, but stay." Stay and help me, you know, like because that way, you know, I'll learn. And, you know, and then those people end up being people that you keep forever, because they feel like they've put like stuff in there and then they feel like they've contributed to it. And yeah, it's 100% what I would recommend. Absolutely. That's the way, in my estimation, the best way to do it. But then also don't ignore your community either. If your community's like, "Hey, I love it when you play Minecraft," play some Minecraft. And don't be afraid drop a game because it doesn't perform. A lot of people like get into a game and they're like, "Oh man, I'm so keen to play it. It's my favorite game. I'm really, really excited." And then nobody shows up because it's a game that you can't stream. But they're like, "No, you know what? No. I'm staying and we're doing it." And slowly but surely, it drops off. Don't be afraid to take that to a Discord stream. Don't be afraid to take that to you're allowed to play games by yourself. It's okay to just play.
Crazy, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it is. You don't have to do everything on stream. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Don't keep doing the same thing. You know, that's just madness. The definition of it. You know. So yeah, those are my advices when it comes to this stuff, particularly when it comes to growth. I think that's a pretty. What do I know really? I'm honestly just a guy who's only just started streaming.
No, you're onto it, because what you just talked there about the directories and sitting in the top 2 lines. That's something that I was told by a bunch of people that were on Mixer at the time, and led by a couple of them that had just made partner in about 6 months, doing exactly that tactic on Mixer. I mean, a lot easier on Mixer, admittedly, with the smaller directories, but they absolutely did that. They had 5 viewers, so they sat in a directory where 5 was in the top 2 lines, and when they had 10 viewers, they moved to a directory that 10 was in the top 2 lines, and it was a slow build up, but it was 6 months, and 2 of them were partners. So it's absolutely a great tactic, and although it's a bit different on Twitch with the larger directories, it's still a good mindset to attack, because it still works. It might just work a little bit slower than Mixer, of course, but you just grab people from this directory, and once you got them hooked, then you can move to another directory, and the bigger following of regulars that you have, the bigger directories you can start playing in.
Oh, and yeah, like absolutely, like it is for me. It's been a really, really successful thing. And just probably the last point to touch on is that remember that it's not purely about you. You know, like, so if you've got a great community who's supporting you, support them too.
Yeah.
You know, like go into their streams, hang out with them. Don't just think that, hey, well, you know, now I'm famous. Look at me, I've got 50 people in my stream every day. Take the time to go visit your friends. Take the time to support, because I tell you, when I go into a stream I haven't been in for a while, the reaction is just beautiful. You know, people are like, oh my God, Shippy's here, guys. Shippy's here. There's streaming royalties here. Everybody pay attention. And I'm like, no. It's not about that. It's not about me here because I want to support you. And they're genuinely grateful. They genuinely want to see it. And then when they come into the stream, they're genuinely happy to be there as well, because you're friends.
Yeah.
And like, really blessed to have like 3,300 friends all of a sudden in the last year. Like that's really how it feels.
Yeah.
Like every time I get on stream, I feel like I'm playing with a bunch of mates. Like I love to support them. I can't be at every single one, but I love to support as many as I can. And I think that's a really important point. I think that's a really, really important point to do, is to, I think I said it last week, is to always be the person in your chat you want to see in other people's chats.
Yeah.
So, other way around. Yeah, so you always be the person that you want to see in your chat in others.
Yeah.
So you go and you talk, you're hanging out. You know, if you can afford it, you subscribe. Obviously, if I subscribe to everyone, I would be in negative money even throughout the Twitch here. But you know, you try to get around as many people as you can. You try to support them as many as you can. You raid into them. You know, you look after your friends, and then they'll look after you in turn. You know, that's right. How it works.
Yeah. Invest back in them. They're investing in you, so it's nice to give back.
Invest in them. Yeah, absolutely.
Just for you too. Like, it's, you don't do it because you want the adulation every time you drop into someone's chat, but as a content creator though, it must be a really good feeling about what you built when you drop into someone's chat and see the reaction on their face. Honestly,
the best thing for me isn't that necessarily. The best thing for me is going into a chat, looking at the members list and seeing other members from my community.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Like going into another person's chat, maybe one I haven't been in a while, and then all of a sudden there's like 10 people, and they're all from the Anchor Club, and they're all supporting another member of the Anchor Club. And I didn't tell them to do it. I didn't tell them to go in there. They've just gone in there of their own volition. That's the big one for me. You know, obviously it's nice to have people go, oh, Shippy's here. But the real awesome thing for me is seeing those people go and really support each other.
Yeah. It's just confirmation that you're on the right track.
Exactly right. No, exactly right. And it's confirmation that they're on the right track too. All of us. So... yeah.
And so the last one we got there, I think we've probably covered it in the last song. Bestia actually asked if you wanted to stream niche games, what's the best way to get attention? But that's we kind of probably covered that, didn't we? In amongst the other ones there, they kind of all sort of looped into one another.
I think very much so. The concept of having the the sort of top 6 is the best way, like as far as niche goes. And also, don't be afraid to message developers. Don't be afraid to tag them on Twitter. Don't be afraid to ask them questions direct. One of the first things I do when I find a game I like is I go to Twitter and I check to see if they have inbox. If they have the inbox open, bang, straight in. I'll go in there. I'll say, hey, I'm looking to play in your game. I really, really like it. I don't want you to give me it. If you want to, you can. But I don't want you to give me the game. I just want to let you know that I'm about to play it. So if you can promote it, or if we can do anything to kind of, get around each other with it, please do. Because I want to be able to share your creation with more people in the world. So yeah, I very much so think that, like, don't be afraid to touch base with them, because you know what, they might say, oh yeah, sure, that's awesome, let's go. The Warship's playing my game today. The Warship's playing Little Nightmares today. Let's go check him out. That's an audience you didn't have before. And even if you get one person from it, that's an audience you didn't have before. I was lucky enough that when I did reach out to Bandai Namco, and said, hey, I played Little Nightmares 1 because it was free the other day on Steam, really liked it, they were like, hey, here's Little Nightmares 2. You can have it, go play it. I was really, really lucky that they said that, but that wasn't my intent originally. My intent was just, I legitimately messaged them to say, hey, I just want to say thank you for the game.
Yeah.
Because it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. If you want to see me playing it, here's a link to the VOD. So don't be afraid to message developers, because you might get their community on board. Yeah. And if it's a cult game with a cult following, that community, they're already diehard about something. All you need to do is make them a little bit more diehard about you.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good tip, though. There's like the worst thing that can happen is that you don't get a response back from someone. As long as you're polite about it and you're not tooting your own horn, you don't toot their horn, you might get a response back.
Exactly right.
Get into those DMs.
So I think that was, slide into them DMs. Absolutely. Just don't send anything inappropriate, because it never works. Nobody likes to see it. Nobody wants to see that in their inbox. Stop doing that, people.
Don't send the wrong DM to the developer that we're supposed to send to somebody else.
No, absolutely. So as far as questions go, I think that is most of the ones from the Discord that we had to cover there.
That is all the ones from the Discord?
There was maybe one or two from the chat itself, but we did get follow botted, so that might be difficult to find.
Yeah, that's all the way up there. We got like 600 followers. I don't know.
Yeah,
it seemed like
it was ridiculous. Yeah, it's actually so far that I can't scroll up further, and I've got moderator on here, so that's not great. So if there were any questions from before that we haven't covered, and the people are still here, please feel free to chuck them in. But yeah, as far as that goes, I think that we may just have to do it on the next one anyway.
Sure.
Because that seems as though, like, I don't know what happened there. Obviously someone thought it was time to give a whole bunch of follows.
Yeah, I don't know. It still bewilders me as to why a follow bot. Like, what is it? Why?
It actually costs money sometimes as well too, which makes no sense.
Just some
it's
people
like, we're gonna screw you up by paying money.
Well,
okay, cool.
I can't wait till Twitch deletes them all in 2 weeks' time. Like, why?
Yeah. No, I had actually one real quick point. Is the one thing I did want to discuss real quickly. Maybe we could make it a proper topic for next time.
Yeah.
Is I had my first ever toxic raid last night.
Oh, really?
And toxic raid, for those who don't know, is where people will just randomly come in. It's not actually a raid, but people will just all of a sudden, like 5, 10, 15, 20 people will all just randomly come into the same at the same time to the same stream. They must be in a Discord together, and they'll just vomit racist, bigoted, horrible stuff the whole time. That doesn't make sense to me, at all. But yeah, I experienced that for the first time, and it was horribly disgusting.
Yeah, no, I don't get that either. It's like it's that, and it's people that are cheating in video games using like what do you call it, aim bots and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like, just some of those things are just like, what sort of joy do you get out of those things that you do, like going into someone's stream like that, or follow botting or aim botting? Like what joy are you getting out of that? What satisfaction are you getting out of doing these things? Like some weird people out there.
Yeah, I don't get it at all. But yeah, so that's one thing that ties into a topic I'd like to cover next week. And I don't know if maybe we should talk sort of about things we'll be talking about in the future. But one of the things that I'd really like to talk about next week, and it's because it's something that affects me and it affects friends around me as well. But I know it's a question that plays on everyone's mind who takes this sort of seriously, is I'd really like to cover, whether it's next week or in the next few weeks, I'd really like to cover what the push to the next level does to you in your brain. Like the mental health effects of pushing for partnership, the mental health effects from pushing for affiliate even, the mental health effects for people not showing up in your stream when you feel like they should be, you know, the parts where, because you think you're doing all the right stuff. I'd really like to delve into that. I think that's a really, really interesting topic. However, it could be a fairly long podcast because I think there's going to be a lot to go there.
I'm up for that one next week, I reckon. We can do that ahead of time. I reckon I'm right up for that one.
Yeah, excellent. Cool. So what would you say, overall, when it comes to here, I'd love to get some feedback from the community. And I listened to a podcast where they do this at the end, and I think it's a really, really cool idea. What would you say about the idea of anyone who has listened here today, if they'd like to provide feedback on it, if they would like to send us something on socials with maybe an emoji, you know what I mean, attached to it, so that we know that that's where it's from, know that they've been here and they've listened to the podcast itself. I think that would be a kind of cool idea as well. So if you'd be up with that, guys, if you'd like to give us any kind of feedback on the Game On Australia Twitter, or even on our own personal ones, and maybe we'll have a look. What do you think we've mostly talked about today? Twitch as a whole, maybe.
Twitch is dying.
Is there like a grave emoji or like a cross emoji or something?
Okay, I now see what you mean. Yeah, see what people do, just bombard us with these emojis. Yeah,
maybe post one of those and just give us like a bit of feedback on there. That'd be really, really cool. Yeah, I'd really, really dig that. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So if that's something you want to do, please do. I really, really enjoyed today, and I think that next week will be a real full-on subject. So, you know, bring the Kleenex and I feel like it'll be interesting. I feel like it'll be a really interesting time. So
yeah, no, I really love the idea. Like I think I mentioned it to you before. The original idea for Streamaholics was to talk about with the smaller streamers and people about the struggles of being a content creator. Sorry. So yeah, I'm really up for that subject, to really dive into that. That'd be really great.
Yeah, actually, Gamma just made a point there too. The other side of like having breaks too. I'd like to delve into that as well. So we'll touch base on all of that.
We'll do a run sheet. We'll just get stuck into it next week. I think that'll be great.
Just get stuck in.
Stuck in there.
Yeah. All right. Well. We still haven't figured out a way to round this up. Maybe we should have discussed that last week.
I didn't even. This is where I remembered me intro again. Sorry, fuck. I remember
the best point for the intro.
Fucking hell. All right.
Just roll the intros at the end of them. That would be the way to do it for sure.
Yeah, we'll do it back.
We need to obviously. If people are going to find you on socials there, Lukey, where can they find you?
Yeah, so it's Lukey Bangerz everywhere. I'm more active on Twitter than anywhere else. I don't really do Instagram. I'm on Facebook, so Lukey Bangerz everywhere. That's my Twitch as well. So, just so same as it's written right underneath my head, right there. And there's a shout out in the chat. Yeah, thanks, Best. Yeah. So what about you, Warship? Where can we find you?
Well, you know, as we complain about it every week until Twitch makes a change to it, I am at the Warship everywhere on social media, except for stupid Twitch, Twitter, where I am _Warship. Until I get control over the Warship account on Twitter. Until I get in control, we're just going to complain about it.
With all the follows that we got today, I think, you know, that's going to just take us to that next level. I think Twitter's going to start like, really noticing what you're doing, mate. Yep.
All those real follows we got just now. It's the key. It's all the success. But yeah, you can find me at the Warship pretty much everywhere on Twitch _Warship. Why do I keep saying Twitch for? On Twitter _Warship. And yeah, thank you so much, guys, for being here.
Cheers,
for joining us today. I hope you've had a great time. And we'll see you next time
on Streamaholics.
There we go.